Hello and welcome to NARC Live on Wednesday the 9th of February 2022, coming to you live from Norfolk on the east coast of England with Tammy M0TC.
Hello.
And me, David G7ERP. Great to see you. On tonight's show, old ham radio gear. Why the hell do we bother? That's not my words, that's Steve G3ZPS, who will be coming to explain all. Do you remember this old Ladybird book or similar things? And we find out what on earth this is. And at this stage, I think we can reveal, can't we, Tammy, that
He's
we've
had
gone
you a bit
from,
stumped.
well, yeah, from last week where we had a record number of 22 entries, people knowing, and they all got it right as well, what it was. This week, we've only had one. So if you know what this is, and as I did say on the last newsletter, it's not everyone's cup of tea. That's as best a clue as you're going to get. Then if you know what this is, then pop it onto BATC or on Facebook now, and we'll read it when we come to that part of the show very shortly. What on earth is this? By the way, I wouldn't have guessed it either from looking at it, but it's very, very clever, and most of you would find it useful. That's all I'm going to say. Right. So, Malcolm G3PDH, he has written to us and said, further to the RSGB AFS contest in January, I can now confirm that NARC Team A came in third place in the local club section in the final SSB contest, with Team B 12th and Team C 27th out of some 65 teams. So all of you done really, really well. And this last Monday saw the start of the 2022 Club Championship contest, which run through to the end of July with 3 contests per month using CW, Data and SSB. From the raw score entries, it looks like NARC made a really good start to the series with 14 logs submitted. And the next contest is on Wednesday, the 16th of February, and that's a data mode contest. Anyone wishing to take part or needing advice or assistance are invited to join the contest net on 145.250 MHz at 9 p.m. every Friday evening, or you can contact any of the contesters or Malcolm or Roger G3LDI. Full details are on the Norfolk Amateur Radio Club website. You can get the contacts, and Roger and Phil does a column every week for that. Just a little quick reminder to you, though, that if you're entering this club championship, you have to be a paid-up member of your club, in this case Norfolk Amateur Radio Club, for your points to become valid. It's only £5 at the moment to join. It's an online membership, and that I can tell you that will go up later in the year when we hope to start meeting again, because obviously the overheads of the club are going to be much more. So we think this is the fairest way. If you want to rejoin Norfolk Amateur Radio Club or join it for the first time, you need to do it now for just £5 for the whole year. Full details are on norfolkamateurradio.org. Now, I've had funeral details confirmed for Silent Key Ian Coleman, G4GBT. He's the former chairman of Great Yarmouth Amateur Radio Club. Ian's funeral will be at Galston Crematorium on Friday the 25th of February at 3:15 p.m. Now, if you'd like to be put in touch with some of his radio friends so that you can meet them maybe at the funeral, then please drop me an email and I'll put you directly in touch. Now, this weekend, I don't know what you're doing, but the Long Distance Walkers Association, in particular the Norfolk and Suffolk one, have their Winter Poppy Line 50-mile race. This is off their website there, so if you're interested in this, if you're interested in being a walker, I guess you may already know about them. There's the website for them at the top. But this event, and the relevance to this club, NARC Live, is being supported by Norfolk County Raynet and Norfolk and Suffolk 4x4 Response. So if you're a licensed radio amateur and you think that you might enjoy volunteering to support events like this, then you can contact either Norfolk County Raynet or Norfolk and Suffolk 4x4 Response via these websites. They're those at the bottom of your screen now. Raynet is providing support, I think, for 6 different control points, including the head control. For various places on Norfolk. It's going between Aylsham and Holt, all over that area of North Norfolk. It's let me see, how many miles was it? I think it's 52 miles, I think, yeah. And it's a 22-hour competition, or a race if you like, but it's walking. that starts on Saturday and ends on Sunday morning. So whether you're interested in walking, then there's the details at the top of your screen. But if you're interested in volunteering for something like this, it may be a bit late to get involved now with these. But there's the details of Norfolk Rainette and the Norfolk and Suffolk 4x4 response on your screen now. I just thought I'd mention it because it's the first event they've had for a little while now. And it's something that you could really get involved with if you like the outdoors especially. Now finally, I'd just like to mention that last week and for several weeks we've been talking about the filter, GM3 SEK filter. And after last week's interactive, I had several people send me details. Well, I think we've probably done enough on this show for that filter, but that doesn't stop you sending details like the 3 people who did last week. And so to put these somewhere neat and tidy, I've got an article that I've set up on the website that is called the GM3 SEK filter further information. That tells you both where to buy those components and materials from, and also any of you that send photographs or any other information about different components or problems getting them, or where you bought certain parts from or anything like that, I will be happy to just pop on that part of the website. We'll keep that up there certainly for the next few weeks and maybe a couple of months or so if you've built that filter. So it's not too late to contribute to that website, that part of the website, and I'll put it on there. Now, Nev M0NFY, he sent us something that certainly rang bells in my head, and hopefully it did for you as well. He said, I thought this might be of interest. I think the author of this book is G.C. Dobbs, must be the same Reverend George Dobbs of QRP Club and Sprat fame. Can we see this picture, Tammy? Now, do you remember this book? I think I can remember that. Not quite sure the date. I couldn't find a copyright date. But these are things you can have a look at this book on that address, the web address at the bottom of your screen now, worldradiohistory.com. Now, he says that Ladybird was the trademark of a series of books aimed at children. They covered a very wide range of material, ranging from fiction to some fairly technical science and engineering, and all simplified to suit their audience. And you may remember that the Ladybird books were aimed at children. And finding this one pleased Nev no end. Yeah, there's another picture here as well. There's a couple of those. I certainly remember building things like this. I actually think I used drawing pins actually in wood. Those are a bit smarter, sort of brass screws with little caps. I can see our guest in the corner of another screen here nodding as well. So I think those of us of a certain age will remember that sort of thing. It got me thinking as well, really, it's a bit of a shame. I don't think this sort of thing exists. I did quickly Google around for Ladybird books, and there are some Ladybird books current, but they are educational, but they do tend to be things to do with the syllabus. I couldn't find any about practically making anything like this as a hobby. So I think they're still applicable now. There's a transistor radio on the right, and I think the one on the left is a crystal set. So anyway, thank you, Nev, for sharing that information. And if it's all right, a little bit of self-indulgence. Some time ago, and I can't remember when it is, in the last 2 years, we did a sort of, I think it was a retro technology evening, or maybe it was a construction evening. And we talked about, and someone, I think, I'm trying to think who it was, who was building something from a book, mentioned these old things. And I remembered. I
think it might have been...
You can't remember either.
Oh,
well, while you think.
What's his name?
I know what you mean. Beard.
Yeah, what's his name?
And he's building something interesting. Anyway, I'm sure it'll come to us at some point. If we could just show this camera, though, this camera 1, Tammy. This is the book, because I did, as often has happened on this show, it inspired me to find this stuff. And this was the book that I thought at first, I think it was a Ladybird book, but this was something that I remember buying from BB Adams at the time, marketplace in Norwich. Build Your Own Computer. This was Project Big 57, and I actually had to buy a set of the books. And I did just show you this. This is what inspired me to get into digital electronics at the tender age of about 13 or 14. Now, that may not be coming out very well, but I just want to show you. It showed you what to build, what I later became known as a flip-flop. And there's a circuit. If you know what a flip-flop is, it's not a type of shoe, Tammy, before you say.
Okay.
All right, this is an electronic circuit that is at the heart of many a computer, probably still is really, if you think about it. It's something that basically is binary. It can either be in one state or another state. And this inspired me knowing this cheap book that I got from BB Adams to build something. It showed you how to build it. I know it's a bit self-indulgent, isn't it? But there's a picture from inside it. It was really inspired by Nev's entry. There we are. Look at that. That was how to build this thing. And I remember building in. My dad used to smoke cigars, and they used to come in nice mannequin cigars. Came in nice wooden boxes, and it was the one thing I didn't like him smoking, but I did like the boxes. So I remember building several of these flip-flop circuits on basically on matrix board inside this thing, and I got the idea from this book that if I built enough of these, and you used a telephone dial, yes, a dial, that original sort of telephone dial thing, that generated the number of pulses per number. So if you dial 248, it would generate 2 pulses, 4 pulses, and 8 pulses, and it keyed and it incremented all these little flip flops. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're about to tune off, please don't, because I won't go into it anymore. But for me, anyway, seeing that program back then, and it inspired me to go out and buy this book and relive a bit of your history. When you get to a certain age, Tammy, you know, you do actually want to look back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly.
I remembered who it was, so my memory's not...
Who is it?
It's Albert.
Albert, that's right.
Yeah.
Albert, yes. He's building something from
It was
some
like
of these old
some
books.
massive tower thing, wasn't it?
Of some LEDs or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think he did use one of the books. He had one of the
original
books and he had already built something out of one of them, I think.
Anyway, it's also got me thinking that we've got to come up with another interactive. You know, we're doing this for a little while longer at least, this online thing. And we thought we might have a sort of a retro technology or something evening coming up again. So if you missed it the first time around, it was one of the most popular ones we did. If you've got some retro technology of any kind, whether it's something like that really old that you built when you were younger, whether it's an old computer or anything like that, very soon, in the next month or two, we'll have another retro technology evening where we'll encourage you to send in your pictures or join us live on Zoom, and we'll share a lot of retro technology, and people like me can just revel in those old days of electronics and things. Are you going to revel in something? Probably retro for you is a...
Yeah,
what
it's
would
like
that be for
5
you?
years ago for you.
Thanks. What would it be for you, Tammy? Retro. What think about? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but your younger days of technology and things. Can you think of retro technology? What would be retro for you? This is where I'm going to feel really old.
I had a cassette player Walkman. I suppose that's quite retro.
It is
now.
now.
It was one of the first things I had.
And I remember your brother Kevin. He had mini disc, and he loved that.
Yeah, we had that, but that was afterwards. So
yeah. So
I think we were like
anyway. And actually, can we? I know this. We've never done this before, but can we go to our guest, because I can't resist this. This is completely impromptu, but let me introduce our guest tonight. It's Steve G3ZPS. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
Now, you come in much earlier than you normally would, but you were holding something up at the camera then that I just couldn't resist. I never knew it was going to get... It's a Walkman.
It is.
Now, do you consider that retro, or is that just something from your 20s or 30s?
No, I think it's retro.
Yeah.
What do you mean something from my 20s and 30s? That is retro.
Oh, sorry. I'm not offending you. Mate, I'm not that young either, so... Not that you aren't. Oh, this is getting dangerous. Don't cut us off. Anyway, Steve, thanks for holding that up. So you see what I mean anyway. We'll come back to you very shortly, Steve. So you get the idea. I'm sure all of you have got something retro technology. It doesn't even have to be electronic-y like that, really. Just retro technology. I think that really reinforces the fact that we'll have one of those evenings very soon. Maybe into March, but it won't be very long. So start thinking about something that you'd like to share with everybody else, because it will make an entertaining evening. Actually, I've just come to think of it, though, it's worrying that he's got that on hand. I remember, actually, when we went to the... I mustn't carry on with this, but we went to the Science Museum. Do you remember? And what's depressing, when you go to the Science Museum, we saw a big display cabinet.
Of, like, history of technology. Like, I got one of those. I got one of those. Oh, I got one of those.
I still use one of those. Then you know you're old. Anyway, that's the end of the news for this week. Again, Nev, thanks for providing that lovely insight into the Ladybird books of past gone by. Tammy, Little People, move us out of this and move us into the real world.
Yep, Little People. Here you go. Here's the Little People this week.
Oh.
This is called Key Worker.
Ah, I see what you did then. Yeah. Sitting there on some keys.
Yep. Looks kind of cool.
That's something, do you know what? That's something that hasn't really changed, isn't it?
What, the computer keyboard?
Yeah, not really.
But then if you took away like the QWERTY keyboard, you'd be stuck, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, although we're getting nearly there on voice, aren't we now? I suppose voice control. Yeah. Anyway, we mustn't go down another path. All right, that's lovely. That's miniature-calendar.com, a different picture every day, and Tammy picks one out for us as well. That's a lovely one. Key Worker. Love it. Thank you. So, what have you been doing? We've had a couple of bits of news, but not too much this week, really. Nev's and Malcolm was really all we had. So if you have some information, if you want to share with us what you've been doing at home, a project you've been doing maybe, or just something that you think will interest other NARC members, always send it to us at this address, radio@dcpmicro.com. If you can get it to us by 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, that's when we really stop looking at emails and we start putting the show together. Then we would love to hear from you. Pictures, stories, whatever. We would love to hear from you. Thank you. Now on to that competition. This was the one that we set last week. As I said, it's complete contrast really, because can we have a look at it again, Tammy, please?
Yep.
This is our competition picture. What on earth is this? And I was honest and said to you we'd only had one entry. Now, let's have a look.
We've had one entry online, which is from Andy, M0NKR. He said it looks like a hose clamp.
Okay, yeah, hose clamp. Yeah, I can see that. But, okay, we'll allow that entry. We'll tell you at the end what it is. I'm just looking still. John says 8-track for my car. I guess we're looking at retro things. All right, okay. Yeah. I'm just looking down there to see if anybody entered. I don't think so. No, just Andy. Thank you very much for that, Andy. So nobody else entered. We stumped you all. Well, I will then read you the one and only entry that we had. And this came from Simon M0SIH. And I have to say it came in, I think, that night. So it was one of those things I think you probably know or you don't. He said, Dear Tammy and David, the item featured in What on Earth is a drip catcher for a teapot. It's placed in the spout of the teapot to ensure it does not drip. I remember my aunt having one and was intrigued by it when I used to visit her when I was a young boy. That's Simon M0SIH. And that is the only entry we had. So Tammy, it's time to reveal what on earth this is.
It was for a teapot.
It is. And that's, believe it or not, what it does. Isn't that amazing? It's not technology as such, but it is technology because someone's worked that out. I mean, I think that's a strange shape. And
I think I've seen one of those before.
Really?
Yeah, the more I looked at that, because I obviously knew what it was last week, and I'm pretty sure I've seen one of those in a teapot before, but I would have never got it.
No. Well, I mean, Peter M0HBL, as you can see there, he's the one who sent it in to us. He said that this is a thing which controls the flow of tea from a teapot and stops it from dripping. And he found it in Germany last year, and it works too, he said. And I did a quick Google around the internet, as you do, to try and find one of these, and I did.
You're going to buy one, aren't you?
No, I don't know about that. Although we do have problems. Your mum and dad's teapot is, I cannot. No matter how slowly I pour that, I can't do it without dripping. Anyway, that's what they are. It was only a couple of euros, the one I found, and it was in a shop in France, though. So I'm sure there are people here, and I bet you there's a couple of people of you now, I bet you're now Googling it on, looking on eBay or something like that and find it. But anyway, it's a lovely gadget. We're assured by 2 people at least that it works. Thank you for that, Peter, because that really stumped everybody. And what a contrast from the previous week.
We've got something a bit more different this week.
We are. Now, so this is the new competition prize. What on earth is this? I can't give you any clues because all right, I think the only thing we ought to say is this is something that's been cut open. All right, so it's like a sort of mystery object, but it is something. It's pretty much an everyday object for most people watching this. I think most of you will have one, but this has been cut open. What on earth is that? As usual, you've got until 3 o'clock next Wednesday to send us an email and tell us what you think it is to radio@dcpmicro.com, as on the screen there. Tell us what you think that is, and we will reveal all next Wednesday night on NARC Live. I think that is... Would I have got it? No, I don't think so. But anyway, mustn't say any more, because maybe loads of you know.
Maybe.
I think that's a good one.
I don't know what it is.
No? All right. Well, anyway, so that's the mystery object. Now, just to tell you what, before we come on to our guest again tonight, I hope he's not going to charge us extra for doing a bit earlier. Next week on the club. On Sunday, we've got GB2RS News on GB3NB at 7 o'clock. Monday, we've got the Monday Night Net at 7:30 on GB3NB as well, with Dave 2E0ELJ in the host seat. And at 8:30 on Monday, the 80-metre CW net on 3.543 megahertz. And next Wednesday, here on NARC Live, we've got a talk by Steve G0KYA, our own Steve, and he's going to tell us how to get your Worked All States Award, sometimes called WAS Award. So if you've seen that and you don't know how to do it, he's done his research. You'll know he's a real guru when it comes to antennas and propagation, especially, really his subject. So he's going to tell us how we could get Worked All States Award and what it's all about next Wednesday here on NARC Live. And as always, as I said earlier, please send us your pictures and your stories and everything. We'd love to share them with everybody. And don't forget as well that we have this NARC card, which we're very happy. We haven't sent one of these for a couple of weeks, actually. Hopefully that means everybody's happy and well. But if you'd like us to send this to anybody who to be cheered up, celebrating something, maybe not feeling too happy or whatever, we will be happy to send that to anyone at all, anywhere in the world. Just drop us a name, an address, and we'll add your name to ours and send it to them. radio@dcpmicro.com at the bottom of your screens now. And we will send it within a couple of days of you sending us an email.
That has just reminded me of something completely unrelated that I read this week, which I should probably tell people because people will probably want to know. It's about postage stamps. I don't know if you've heard about postage stamps.
Well, I think we have. What do you mean?
No, from next year, I can't remember what it was now. I think it's January next year.
Okay.
You won't be able to use the old postage stamps. So, because they say that people buy them before the price goes up. Some people have got hundreds of pounds of postage stamps.
Oh. But you mean the ones which say first class and second class without the money on it?
Yes, you won't be able to use them anymore.
But how will they know?
Because apparently Royal Mail are introducing a new postage stamp with a barcode on. You might have seen some of those at Christmas.
Oh, we did actually, yeah.
And they've given you a year's notice to be fair, but they reckon people have got hundreds of pounds of stamps. Yeah,
we've got some.
And they are going to do a programme where you can swap them for ones with barcodes, but they don't know yet how many you'll be allowed to swap.
So that's going to thwart you if you see the price rise.
So don't hoard postage stamps anymore. Start using them.
And be careful. Yeah, be careful. That's very good advice. There you go. Consumer programme as well.
Yep.
Amateur radio and consumer. Thank you very much, Tammy. I
didn't know that.
Our
guest.
You didn't tell me that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not going to do much of an introduction. We've met Steve before. We met him earlier tonight, and we met him before last year as well with a lovely talk. Tonight, and that was about the emergency services. But tonight, he's going to look at old ham radio gear. And why do we bother? So, Steve, G3ZPS. Hello.
Hello, David. And good evening, everybody. It's nice to be
great
here.
to see you again. And thanks for the bit earlier on as well in your bit of retro technology.
Yeah, I have got a lot of old kit here, and there happened to be one in the top drawer of a desk kit.
Well, I guess that's also presumably the subject of tonight. I mean, old ham radio gear. Why should we bother? So, it's.
I've just got to pop out and check how many stamps I got first.
No, can you do that in a little while, please? Because Steve likes to give these talks live, he'd rather us not put this recording on YouTube, which we normally do. So if you are watching this as a recording, then I'm afraid the programme is now going to end for you, but we'll be back again next week on NARC Live.